This is Dabu 7. Some updated information connected to this disaster in East Palestine, Ohio, where we have the mayor very upset, Trent Conaway, coming out saying that the train company, Norfolk Southern, should have showed up and should have been there to address the town at this town hall meeting, but they disappeared. They were nowhere to be seen. And let's remember who owns a lot of the stuff tied into this. Vanguard. Everybody should do their research. Now we have these devices popping up all over these little areas and subdivisions around the town. Some many miles away, some right in the path of the wind. And it's good that they're out there trying to detect these chemicals right now in the wind, but we also have a severe issue with the water. We have a huge level of toxic, whatever you want to call it, vinyl chloride plus other stuff that was leaking from this train wreck going into the waterway. And then when vinyl chloride gets burnt, it also transforms into other toxic materials, which can be gaseous and can float in the air. And then this can turn into acid rain and then fall back down onto the people, which we've seen, animals dying left and right. And that is one of the biggest arguments now, as even Ohio senator goes up there and finds toxic chemicals in the water, saying that this is disgusting. It's everywhere we go, everywhere we look. And Buttigieg is nowhere to be seen. I'm sure he'll make sure there's no white men on the scene to clean up the mess. This is ridiculous. This man's job, it's got to go. And most of these people were positioned where they're at right now because of their sexual orientation, because of their views, and all that stemming back from the Obama administration. That's right. They put all this into motion, and it seems that through the Biden regime, they're trying to finish up everything that they had rolled out. Again, where is this man when it's his responsibility to oversee everything connected to this and that it's done right? Well, he's nowhere to be seen or found. So in the meantime, people very upset, fearing that huge health implications are going to start happening here very soon, because you have to realize the long-term health implications with the exposure to vinyl chloride are increased risk of developing rare forms of liver cancer, like multiple kinds, brain and lung cancers, leukemia, lymphoma. Yeah. These people are ticked off and they have every right to be. Join me on the live stream where I have more time to break this down in greater detail. Going live Monday and Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern on Dabu 777. You'll find links below. Hit that subscribe button for more.
Hey, Shalom. Slaki. Shalom, Akim, Shalom.
I'm just going to click random
foremost,
stuff.
I want to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. I'm about to give double honors to the elders, the apostles, the great millstone. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. News in this gospel, brother, lift up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. Real quick, this is an update on the spill out there in East Palestine, Ohio. Okay, which, you know, through the spirit, we believe it was deliberately done. Okay, we know that Esau, Edom is the devil that the Bible talks about, and he's always up to something nefarious. So with that being said, it says East Palestine, how ironic, Palestine being controlled by the small heads, right? Residents may already be undergoing DNA mutations. Class action lawsuit alleges, okay? Because people are hip to this shit, man. People are hip to the atrocities of the so-called white man and his wickedness. Okay, even among his own kind, they know he ain't right. Though they don't necessarily classify themselves to be the devil, but they're the devil that the Bible talk about, from the smallest to the greatest. Okay, so with that being said, man, I want to look up something called DNA mutations, and I want to see exactly what comes up when you type this information in. All right, so let's see what happens. DNA mutations. Let's see what happens. It says, what are 4 different types or 4 DNA mutations? It says mutations can be of types of substitution, deletion, insertion, or translocation. Okay. Let's see. DNA mutated. It says genetically mutations are changed to your you-know-what sequence that happened during cell division. So basically, people that got that, you know what, man, it mutates in their body. So every cell, you know, your body generates new cells every day because you have blood cells that die and skin cells that die off every day, and they're regenerated. So basically, it's almost like a lizard that sheds skin and comes back and it forms a pattern through their DNA genetics. And that's the same thing that people, what happens when people take the juice. Okay, when they take the juice, and certain things is undergone in their body, and this is what happens. Okay, but anyway, it says during a cell division, when your cells make copies of themselves, it says your DNA tells your body how to form and function. It says genetic mutations can lead to genetic conditions like cancer, or can help humans better adapt their environment over time. Basically, you're adapting your body. Like if you live in a colder climate or of a high climate, you get what they call altitude vertigo, which means your ears will pop, you kind of get a little dizzy spells. But the longer you live in that environment, your body mutates and it adapts to the environment. So therefore, you get used to it and you're able to sustain yourself. All right. But outside of that, let's go back into the article. It says, matter of fact, it says, North Southern Way Railway CEO Alan Shaw published a letter Thursday that read, "We will not walk away East Palestine," but already officials from Norfolk Southern ditched a meeting last night with worried East Palestine, Ohio residents who are only searching answers after a freight train with 150 cars, 20 of them were carrying hazardous materials, derailed in a small town, resulting in a chemical disaster. You know what's so funny about this? We had, when I was young, I may have been like fucking 10, 11 years old, man. We had a chemical spill out where I lived at. Okay, you had like this processing plant of harmful chemicals, like probably like 2-3 miles away from our house, because where our complex was built at, it was built like on the far south side of Chicago. This is before we moved from the inner city to the far south side. So you had a waste treatment plant around there. You got an Acme steel factory. We was basically living in the industrial yards of of Chicago, far south. You had a wastewater treatment plant, which those things are not supposed to be in the city. Okay, you had a steel company, a factory across the river. Then you had like a paint factory. I noticed, and we had a chemical spill. And I remember there was urgent residents and stuff like that that may have got diagnosed with some type of cancer and stuff like that. They were supposed to receive payouts for this, you know, but I was too young to even remember what went down with that. But now I notice a lot of Jakes that grew up with this, man, a lot of them dudes, they just lost their goddamn minds, man. Okay, they were completely just bugged out. And it wasn't anything outside of the normal because of what we're used to seeing. But a lot of those guys, they went off to do nothing with their lives, man. Okay, in the area we was living in, it was mainly poverty stricken. There wasn't really any resources out there. That's why there was a lot of crime and shooting and shit like that. Now that I think about it. But it says East Palestine, Ohio Mayor Trent Conway is furious the community came out for a town hall and the railroad refused to show up in Norfolk Southern didn't have the nerve to address the town. So basically the mayor is putting that blame on the company when all you demons were behind it. Okay, so this is a way of Esau shifting the blame to somebody else when technically your government entities, they be behind shit like this all the time. Okay, they just don't tell you, but nonetheless, this is all part of the globalist agenda. All right, if you may know what that means. But anyway, it says Norfolk Southern is not off to a great start, but there are increasing reports that residents are experiencing short-term health impacts after the derailment and controlled burn of toxic chemicals, vinyl chloride, which is very toxic. Okay, something you're not supposed to inhale in. When you're dealing with those chemicals, you're supposed to have these particular special like hazmat suits on, dealing with any particular hazardous waste. Like when I was contracted out for wastewater treatment jobs, a lot of times we had to go into like a sewer or some shit like that. You better have that hazmat suit on, man, okay? Because you don't never know what's in the feces or what's in the water or the storm water. You just never know, okay? And a lot of people get sick off that. Like even working in coal plants, you have to have certain respiratory masks on because a lot of those guys that went to retire over 25 years, they died from what they call black lung, which is basically those that charcoal getting in your body, okay? And is eating up at your chest cavities, and basically you die from respiratory illnesses, man. I mean, that's why those jobs pay so good and they pay so high because of it, because the hazardous shit they got to do, you know? But regardless of that, it says residents as far as where as Pittsburgh are wondering about potential health impacts according to local media. And then half these people are juiced up anyway. So, you know, they don't really have a chance. But it says here, and then the long-term health implications with exposure to vinyl chloride, such as an increased risk of developing a rare form of liver cancer, okay, liver cancer, brain and lung cancers, leukemia and leukemia, okay, which that's a whole nother fucking ballpark. But it says nearly 2 weeks after the derailment, Norfolk Southern still hasn't provided all information about what the train cars were carrying. It says, but at the meeting last night, the East Palestine resident Kathy Dyke asked the local officials and members of federal agencies, why are they being hush-hush? Well, because they're hiding their counsel. That's why. It says they're not out here supporting. They're not out here answering questions. But for 3 days, we didn't even know what was on the train. She says, I have 3 grandbabies, and she continued, are they going to grow up here in 5 years and have cancer? So all the factors that play on my mind, but you got to understand all the particular risk factors that played into that, you know, the jabs, the particular, you know, what's that you people received over time, and including this atrocity that went down. You people are getting ready to probably start dropping, because you better believe that half those people, they're juiced up. Okay, so it says again, I would say all of this race nonsense started with Obama. Biden's entire cabinet was appointed not on merit but on race, sexual orientation. He says I hold the divider in chief responsible for this. Oh wow, yeah. So these people are through, man. Let's see what it says here.
All right, an update right now.
And now they want to cover the shit, you know, but they hadn't said anything else prior to that. And we had to find out through alternative media what was really going on, because they didn't really provide the evidence, or I mean, not the evidence, but they didn't provide the information to the people that they needed to know. It didn't come out until, like, you know, people start reporting on it through alternative news sources. So that's why alternative news is the way to go. All right.
Breaking news we have been following all morning for you. This on that toxic train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. So we've been telling you this morning that we have had video journalist Nick Sorter heading to the scene of the derailment to bring us a live report, again, from that very area. We're told Nick did go to the scene. He made it there, but then told our producers he got so sick from the fumes that he was unable to come back on live television for that live report. Again, that according to the video journalists we've sent out there. Or he was headed out there on their own, and he was going to report for us, unable to do so, reporting again that he felt ill after arriving on scene. This coming after Ohio Governor Mike DeWine tweeting, quote, I spoke with the White House early this morning to address the need for federal help in East Palestine. As a result of this conversation, I have requested assistance from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health and Emergency Response Team, and the CDC to provide direct support. Now, this comes as Senators J.D. Vance and Sherrod Brown are set to visit that very scene this afternoon. Not only the 2 senators, but the administrator of the EPA heading to the site as well. A developing situation again in East Palestine. It continues to get even more attention, all spilling over after that town hall last evening. It was going to be, remember, this town is about 5,000 in population. Well, they had such an outcry from the residents in East Palestine that they had to move that town hall to a gymnasium, and even filled that one up with frustrated residents and families that live out in that area. They're concerned about the drinking water. They're concerned about air quality. They're also concerned about the soil. That's again one of the...
So basically it says video journalist sick after visiting Ohio train derailment site. So they're getting ready to play off this, you know. But regardless of that, this is Psalms 33, and I'm going to start at verses 10. It says, the Lord bringeth the counsel of the heathen to naught, and he maketh the devices of the people of none effect. Okay, that's the point. This is a device of Esau, Edom. Okay, and it's going to come to naught because we know that this is all set up through this agenda that he's trying to get the New World Order up and running. Now, when you look at these particular summits, and like I said, and you know, I mentioned several times in Davos, how these officials or these government leaders, so to speak, the ones that's above the government, a lot of times, man, they mention directly the New World Order. Well, we're going to have a New World Order. We're going to set it up. And going back into that speech that Bush mentioned in 1991, he sounded very solidified and very confident on what he was speaking about, the New World Order. Okay, he said it. He said a new world order and we will succeed. Okay, but the scripture says different. All right, because Yahweh Shai, who you ignorantly call Christ, is going to come back in the midst of that, and he's going to put a end to the terribleness of your rulership, man. That's why it says he maketh the devices of the people non-effect, because this is nothing more but a ploy to to get people, so to speak. How can I say it without them getting all finicky on me? Basically, a way to cut down numbers. All right, and to set up particular agendas and to get the people to riot and chaos and to become chaotic. So therefore, you could be justified on bringing in your Gestapo troops, man. Okay, and it says the counsel of the Lord standeth forever, and the thoughts of all his hearts is to all generations, man. Okay, so matter of fact, let's go from here to the book of Psalms 52 is good, but I think I want to go to Psalms 53 is actually an excellent chapter going into this. Come on, baby, go over. Yep. So this is the book of Psalms 53, and I'm gonna start at verses 3. It says every one of them is going back and they all together become. Matter of fact, let's start at. No, that's not what I want. Damn, wrong one. Psalms 58. It says, yeah, in your heart ye work wickedness. You weigh the violence of your hands in the earth. Okay, and this is just part of it. Okay, we have all types of videos and information coming out against the so-called white man about the war he's declared on the people. Okay, his own people at that. Okay, it says the heart, in your heart you work wickedness, and you weigh the violence of your hands in the earth. And the wicked are estranged from the womb, and they go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Okay, because that's just the nature of the serpent. He's deceitful. It says the poison is like the poison of a serpent, and they're like the deaf adder that stoppeth their ear. Because when you bring up these particular talking points against Esau, Edom, then he likes to turn a blind eye to it. Okay, he likes to turn a deaf adder. Like when we out speaking and we're blatantly bringing out condemning evidence against the so-called white man, he just walked past the camp like he don't hear us, man. Okay, why? Because for the simple fact they like to hold themselves not guilty for the bullshit that they've created. All right, Revelation 6, and I'm gonna start at verses, and I'm gonna end it after this. This wasn't meant to be a long lesson. This is Revelation 6 and 8. It says, and I look and behold a pale horse. Pale represents death, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him, and power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, which we broke that down several times. Okay, if you want to understand the breakdown, go to the previous videos. To kill with the sword, and with hunger, with death, and with the beasts of the earth. Okay, it says with death. Okay, because the scriptures refer to this man not only as the pale horse, the red horse, the devil, and Satan. Okay, but he called him death and hell. Okay, because we go into Habakkuk, the second chapter. It goes into fuck, man. Let me just go ahead and get it. I don't want to butcher it. I've had enough time butchering scriptures. Let's get it. Habakkuk 2, and I'm gonna start at verses. Yep, 2 and 5. It says, yea, also, because he transgressed by wine. Okay, it says he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell and as death. Okay, and that's the precept to Revelation 6. It says, and cannot be satisfied, but gather unto him all nations and heap unto him all people. And that's basically the concept of the NWO. Okay, heaping everybody under his particular regime or his conglomerate. You see, to rule the earth in wickedness. And this is the same thing that Antiochus did, but more in a political aspect before it became a military takeover. But in this aspect, you're going to have revolts. You're going to have proxy wars. You're going to have civil wars, all because of the destabilization of the country and the route that the country is going in. Mass unemployment, mass layoffs, funding is being cut. What else? Fucking inflation, soon to be hyperinflation. And then not to mention the talking points of the Charagma systems. Okay, because I believe it's Alabama, if I'm not mistaken. But I believe that's like one of 3 states that's talking about mandating the microchip for the employees. And a lot of people going to buck up against that, and they know that. So therefore, they have to create what they call a hostile environment to scare people into taking that shit. Because basically, the big boogeyman, which is the C-hip, is going to be the ultimate savior of the day. Okay, that's basically going to be like what's this guy's name? It's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Okay, it was more like Bizarro. you know, with the Superman persona, but he's really a demon. Okay, and that's how the Esau is going to promote this C-hip. Now people like, I ain't taking that shit. But when your jobs get cut, your living situations, and you end up having a fucking overly cold winter, and all of a sudden you got to get the C-hip in order to get shelter and warm, you're going to think twice about taking that. Like, you know what, go ahead and give it to me. Your kids got to eat, and those of you that got newborn babies out there that the Lord is not dealing with, you know, you're going to have to consider all these talking points. Like, brother did a video yesterday that a couple of them guys from the Wi-Fi camp, they're leaving those camps, and they're going out and do their own thing because they agree with our teaching on the mark of the beast. Okay, you know, I seen a couple of comments from brothers' videos, man. They like, look, we agree with GMS on the MOTB 100%. So what do? Do we continue to teach in Wi-Fi and rebel? No. If you have a issue with the doctrine of your group, first thing you want to do, you want to go to the leadership and say, well, look, break this down. But you know, 9 times out of 10, these leaders, they're not going to break it down. They're going to buck up. So really the only option for you to do is separate yourselves and go out there and teach the right doctrine. That's all you can do, because believe it or not, a lot of these guys in other camps, they're really learning from us. And they really believe what we are saying. They just don't know how to go and take the oath or take the offense to their leaderships, because most of these guys, man, you know, they come under leaders and they don't learn everything they're supposed to learn. Okay, they basically just put them in a camp for men, for bodies. So the guys haven't really studied the scriptures to know that, look, man, if you have an issue, you got to go and speak to your men, your head guy about it. You know, the scriptures say before anything, you got to have counsel of wise men. Also, it tells you in Matthew 18, you have an alt with something. It can be a small thing, big thing, you know, especially with doctrinal differences. You want to go and you want to bring that up to the top. If you have a question about the doctrine that you're not agreeing in, then you go to the leaders and you ask them, well, can you explain it? Can you break it down? And if they don't know, they go get the answers. And if, you know, your conclusion for what you've researched by watching the men of the Lord is solidified in his own point, then you got to leave that place, man. Okay? Even if you don't join the ranks of Great Millstone, you don't have to be a part of our camps to be of the elect. Okay? Go out there and teach your own thing. Give double honors. Teach the correct doctrine. And it's going to happen that way. Trust me, you got men in IUIC, you got men in not HOD, I don't know what the hell going on with that camp, but men in the ISUPK, because the big three that stand out to me now, of course, it's Great Millstone, but it's IUIC, ISUPK, and the Sakari. And Sakari, they pretty much teach the same thing we teach. So a lot of them guys, man, I don't see them leaving and coming to Great Millstone, but a lot of guys in the UPK and IUIC and this Adam Abbott guy, Naquam, whatever the hell your goddamn name is, basically they're going to start leaving those groups and they're going to start coming under the apostles' doctrine, which is a beautiful thing. Okay, because you want to be under the correct doctrine, or if not, the Lord is going to destroy you. Like Apostle Tahar said, that guy Adam Abbott, hey man, he's on borrowed time, man, if he keep this bullshit up. You know, a proud novice as he is. But anyway, 2nd Ezra 16, and I'm gonna start at verses this is going into the plagues. Yep, 16 and 17. Woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? Okay, talking about the days we're in currently. The beginning of sorrows. Okay, it says the beginning of sorrows, the beginning of great mournings, and the beginning of famine and a great death. It says the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear. Who is the powers? The authority, the elites. It says in the beginning of evils, but what shall I do when evils come? It says, behold, famine, plague, and tribulation, and anguish are sent as scourges for a moment. But for all these things, they should not turn away from their wickedness, nor always be mindful of their scourges. Okay, because right now we're in a time of famine, plagues, mainly plagues, and tribulations are coming. All right, but behold, victory should be so good, cheap upon earth. It says that they should think themselves to be in good case. And it says, and even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. Now we're in a time of great confusion. All right, people are trying to put 2 and 2 together as to what the hell is happening to the economy. Because prior to 2019 or 2020, everybody had this big confidence kick. Everybody knew that going into the year 2020, which is going to be the best year of their lives, and all of a sudden they were halted and met with adversity through the C19 madness. Okay, and then, you know, the jabs and all that other shit. People start getting sick. People develop heart diseases, heart issues. Even me myself, man, I feel like I've lost a step in health being around people that took that goddamn juice, man. You know, feeling weird at times. I'm like, wait a minute. And everybody took that fucking juice, man. You know, and that's affecting everybody else that didn't take it. So basically, if you didn't take it and you're around people that took it, basically you can consider yourself juiced up. Not officially, but you still have that those contributors in your body somewhere, those particular proteins, and they're mutating, man. Okay, we just got a better chance of survival than the motherfuckers that actually shot the 3-pointer. But regardless of that, man, they're through. And it says here, for many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and others that escape hunger shall the sword destroy. So even if you take the sea hip, you're still going to perish of famine. You're still not going to be in the top echelons of the NWO. And it says, and the dead should be cast out as dung, and there should be no men left to comfort them, for the earth should be wasted and the cities casted down, man. Okay, so this is what's happening. The cities are currently being casted down through different attacks, and they're getting ready to just bring this shit on. You know, Esau's getting ready to bring the wrath, man, any day. So with that, all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And with that, Shalom and a Baba Ball.